Josh from Multiversity here with the mighty Team Sixth Gun, Mr. Cullen Bunn and Mr. Brian Hurtt. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well.
Yeah, I like that.
The mighty?
The mighty Team Sixth Gun, yeah.
I can put that on all of our press copy.
I'm thinking of changing it on the...
To the mighty Sixth Gun?
Read that, yeah.
It's not a Marvel book, come on. Zing. Anyway, guys, the first thing I want to talk about is kind of the biggest question of the bunch. How does it feel to have both of the books you've worked on over the last couple of years picked up for TV?
Oh, that question. I completely forgotten about that. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, he's not kidding. It sounds like he's trying to do the humble brag thing, but no, it's a...
Oh, we have a television show deal?
No, it's one of those... It feels awesome, but we both try not to think too much about it, only because it'll drive us crazy. If we were, what's going to happen? How fast is it moving? What's going on?
Will it happen?
Will it happen? So we try not to. We try to put it out of our minds.
We had a deal on the dam with DreamWorks for years, and that was, I think that the guys used the idea that we have no control over it. We gotta wait and see what happens, and it may not happen. It's Hollywood. It's weird, but these things both feel pretty good right now.
Yeah.
So are they promising you any kind of, because Kirkman got a lot of oversight over The Walking Dead, are they offering you something similar?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's out of the. We haven't gotten that far in the discussions and everything. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Cullen might get to write an episode or something. Put that out there.
Yeah. It could always happen.
Season 2.
So diving into the actual book itself, one of the things that really stands out to me is the characters are just so unique and so fresh in the book, and it really propels the stories forward just by virtue of the fact that you want to see what these characters are up to, because they're so functionally and visually interesting. So what goes into developing a character for the Sixth Gun, be it Asher Cobb or even Drake himself?
Softball question.
Well, it's one of those. I think when I started, I probably started with archetypes. I wanted the dark, mysterious gunslinger and the innocent farm girl. But then I wanted to make sure I played off of those archetypes and kind of changed things up. And then as the story just progressed, especially past that first arc, the characters kind of surfaced a little more and became their own people and became more unique and have their own voice. And that definitely. There are themes now that I didn't see, and in the ways these characters are going to interact, especially Drake and Becky, that I did not necessarily see when I first started putting the idea for the book together.
So what goes into designing the characters, Brian?
I was glad I didn't get that question because I had no idea how to answer it. I don't know. I always tell people like Cullen's scripts always. It's kind of like reading a book. And you're reading about a character and you have a picture in your mind, and it's not. I don't over-intellectualize it. I just kind of go, oh, I think it's going to look kind of like this. But obviously, between every character, you have to think about contrast. Like you don't want to do a character that looks too much like another character. So when Kirby shows up, I was like, well, he's kind of Drake's opposite. He should be a blonde guy, and I wanted to have a sort of a surfer look. That's kind of how Cullen had written the character.
Surfer cowboy.
Yeah. I don't know. I always do sketches. A lot of times I think about the character. It's weird, but in terms of animals or shapes, like who is this character? Like a character might look more like a cat, like feline in features, because he might be a little sneakier and quiet, that sort of thing. And I know, that sounds arty-farty or whatever, but that's one of the ways I approach it.
It's perfectly arty-farty, as a matter of fact. So it's really hard, and I've been trying for the last year as I've read the book to try and, as I recommend it to people, to try and work my pitch differently each time, because every arc, the story kind of...
That's what the perfect pitch is.
I'm not sure yet, because each arc, the book kind of brings in different elements from different genres. It's really hard to peg it as just a Western, because there's a lot of stuff that you mix in there, and I'm just wondering, what are some of the things that influence you when you're writing this book?
When I first started writing it, when I first came up with the idea, it was definitely a horror book. It was and it's changed. It's changed from that. Now I would definitely call it more of a epic fantasy in the Old West. There's horror elements in there, and there's fantasy elements. But I think it's all the things I grew up reading. I grew up reading a lot of horror novels, a lot of Joe R. Lansdale novels for the weird Western side of things, but then a lot of Michael Moorcock type books. I think, a lot of people have said, it's like Lord of the Rings in the Old West, and I see that, but I would actually probably go more, I think the Michael Moorcock books, the Coram books and the Elric books influenced this a lot more than, say, the Lord of the Rings did, but and then it's, a lot of movies and TV shows that I liked and still like,
Right. I mean, it's a little bit, it's a little bit of everything. And we got Mummy in the book,
which came from, we love, the Universal monsters and all that. We wanted to, we wanted that kind of element to it.
So if you could narrow down the way you guys work together on the book, how would you describe the creative process on The Sixth Gun?
95% of all the effort
is the typing, which Cullen does. He does the typing. I tell him what to. I don't know. I'll let you take that one.
Brian and I have worked together for a while now, so I think we kind of have a nice comfort level in terms of how we work together. We usually talk out the arc, what's going to happen in the arc. At a high level, at least at a high level, sometimes very specifically. And then I go in and I just start scripting them and send them to Brian. We talk a little bit about them once I've scripted it. A lot of times Brian has a different take on something visually or the way something should be presented, and that's and we talk about that. But I think I try to surprise Brian with the scripts I give him. I don't think the arc we're working on right now, I know he doesn't know what's coming next because he's asked me 100 times.
I know some of the things that are going to happen over the next couple issues, but yeah, I don't. There's whole characters I don't even know exist yet. And, I keep wondering what's going to happen in the next issue.
Yeah, I get it. That was his subtle hint to get the next script finished.
No, I like having an idea where the series is going because I want to feel like I'm a part of it, I'm on board with it. But I also don't want to know everything that's going to happen because it'll be boring for me to draw. So when I get the scripts, I would say 90% of it is completely new to me. And again, the big mile markers, the big plot points, I get, but I kind of know what's going to happen there. But I let Cullen tell me a story first, because if I'm not perceiving it as a reader, as somebody who's engaged in the story, I'm not going to be engaged in drawing it. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, we sat down a couple of weeks ago and on a big whiteboard and mapped out the entire series. Again, we do that every few months. We sit down and make sure we're kind of on track of what's going to happen. But then within that, I want Brian to enjoy reading the scripts and be surprised to a certain degree.
Yeah, a lot of times it's more like I know how it starts and I know how it ends, but I have no idea what happens in the middle. So that's kind of how this arc is. I kind of know what happens at the end, but I have no idea what's going on in the middle. That's fun. It's exciting.
So how far out do you guys have plotted? And secondary question to go along with that, how long would you want to see the Sixth Gun run for?
We have the series plotted out for, give or take, 45 issues. Somewhere right around there.
48 issues.
48. Is that it now?
I think it's the number is 48, but we know it's going to probably be a little bit more or a little bit less. It's going to be right around there.
So somewhere right around there, and that'll bring the series to a close. I'm writing, and we've got the arcs within there kind of, at a high level, we've got those mapped out with some wiggle room to move some things around if we need to. I'm writing the fourth arc right now, right? Fourth arc?
Yes.
Yes, fourth arc. Yeah. And I've got 2 issues to finish the fourth arc out, and then I'll move right into the fifth arc.
So kind of wrapping up, what can people expect from the Sixth Gun moving into well into its second year?
I think there's some big revelations coming up, especially in this arc I'm working on right now, the fourth arc. Every arc we try to change things a little bit and introduce some new element that's gonna, that's sort of a game changer for the story and for the world. In the fourth arc we kind of introduced some big revelations, especially tied into to both Becky and Drake.
There's a lot of mythology building sprinkled throughout the next couple series, and every arc, usually, like he says, we like to surprise people with what kind of a story it's going to be. So the vibe from the arc we're working on now will be completely different than the vibe from the arc that follows it. But I think we got a bunch of character building stuff coming up. And that's not to say there's not a lot of shooting, but there's a lot of character building stuff coming up over this arc, and I think the next arc. And also, you can start to see the path forming. Like you can start to see that there's an inevitable course these characters are on.
I think by the end of the fourth arc, the readers will start getting where it's going, and by the fifth arc, they're probably going to say, "Oh, this is kind of where we're heading, and this, it's sort of like a roller coaster. We're building up to it, and then once it starts going down, down the slope, it'll barrel towards that conclusion. Yeah.
Yeah. The last year is going to be insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian's dreading drawing that already.
It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. It's going to be insane, though.
Well, thank you very, very much, guys. That was fantastic.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah.